Episode 1. When everything falls apart and I find the light in faith. Have you ever felt like life is slipping away for no reason? That no matter how hard you try, everything just keeps falling apart? Bit by bit? I used to think I was strong. I believed that if I stayed persistent and lived with integrity, happiness would eventually find me. But then, everything fell apart. So suddenly, when my loved one passed away, I couldn't believe in anything anymore. The pain hit me like an undercurrent, dragging me deeper into despair. I wasn't myself anymore, just a faint shadow, drifting through life. I remember that rainy night so clearly, when I sat alone in the dark room. Couldn't cry, couldn't scream. There was no one around, just the ticking of the clock and my heart slowly breaking in silence. I thought, maybe it's time to end it all? But in that moment of utter hopelessness, I picked up an old Bible that my mother had left me. It was worn and tattered, but there was one verse that I'll never forget. The Lord will not let you fall, for He holds your hand. Psalm 37 verse 24. I read it over and over, like a person clinging to the last glimmer of light in the darkest night. And strangely enough, I started breathing again. From that day, I began going to the little church near my home. I didn't ask for anything big. I just sat there, to be still, to listen to the prayers, the soft hymns, and to let my heart slowly heal. No one healed me, no one pulled me up, but I knew there was a gentle hand always there, lifting me up every time I fell. Faith is not a magic cure that makes all pain disappear. Faith is just a tiny light, enough for you to keep moving forward, even when the road ahead is dark. If you are in pain, if you are weary, please don't run away. Stop, take a deep breath, and close your eyes. Perhaps, in that silence, you will hear the whisper, I am here, you are not alone, and you will be okay. Someone once asked me, how could you forgive someone who hurt you that deeply? I stayed silent, not because I didn't know the answer, but because I was remembering the very moment I chose to forgive. That person was someone I trusted the most. They disappointed me. They caused me loss. They made me cry night after night. My anger didn't explode. It lingered, like glowing embers inside my chest. I used to think that forgiving meant I was weak, that I was letting them off the hook. But no, forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. Forgiveness is choosing not to let the past hold your heart hostage anymore. I remember the nights I knelt down to pray, Lord, I can't do this. I can't forgive. They don't deserve it. But God didn't say, forgive because they deserve it. God said, forgive because you deserve freedom. I cried for many nights, but slowly, my tears washed away the bitterness, and I began to feel something. Peace. No, I haven't forgotten what happened. I still remember, but the pain doesn't control me anymore. I look back now, and I'm grateful I made it through. Forgiveness was a gift I gave to myself. If today, you're carrying a wound in your heart, please don't rush yourself to forgive. Start with prayer. Talk to God like a confused child. And then, one day, you'll know it's time to let go. And you'll see, on the other side of forgiveness, there's a sky that feels so much lighter. We all have those moments when we feel lost, don't we? Those long days that seem endless, when our hearts feel unsteady, and our souls so tired that we no longer want to keep fighting. I've been through those moments too, when everyone around me seemed to have their own lives, while I felt alone in a crowd. But there's something I learned through those years. Loneliness isn't a sign of abandonment. Sometimes, loneliness is God's invitation for us to return to ourselves. I remember one afternoon, sitting alone in a small room, feeling like everything around me had dimmed. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to meet anyone. I just wanted peace and quiet. At that moment, I couldn't even find a reason to keep going. God, why do I have to go through all of this? Then, in the silence, I heard a small, gentle answer in my heart. You are never alone. I am always with you. It wasn't a loud voice or a miraculous appearance. It was a gentle comfort, a peace in my soul that I couldn't explain with words. Since then, I've realized that loneliness isn't a sign of a lack of love. In fact, it's the time God allows us to look inward, to find peace in our own hearts, and to realize that He's always been with us. Even when we feel lost, God didn't abandon me, and He won't abandon you. When you feel most alone, when the world seems to turn its back on you, that's when God is closest to you. God doesn't need to speak loudly, just listen. He will come to you in those moments of silence. Life isn't always smooth, is it? We all face failures, those moments when we fall down and feel like we can't get back up. But it's in those moments that we often realize that failure is not the end. It's just a turning point that leads to growth. I remember one time when I gave my best effort to a very important task, but the outcome was not what I had hoped for. The disappointment and shame made me want to give up everything. I asked myself, God, why me? Why can't everything just go according to plan? And in that moment, I heard a small, quiet voice inside. You are never a failure in my eyes. You are learning and growing through every challenge. At that moment, I cried a lot, but then I realized that failure is not something to be ashamed of. In fact, failure is an essential part of our journey. It's through our failures that we learn how to rise again, that we learn to understand ourselves and appreciate every step, even when we stumble. God didn't abandon me during those difficult times. He was right there with me, walking beside me through each challenge. Every time I fell, I felt His presence even more strongly. He didn't want me to live in pain, but He wanted me to learn how to rise and continue moving forward. I am here, right beside you, so you can rise after every failure and continue your journey. If you're feeling like you can't go on, please remember that failure is not the end. It's just a part of the journey. Believe that God is always with you, no matter how many times you stumble. He will lift you up, help you stand again, and walk with you through every trial.